This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Thanks to friends at Unreal. You can restock your wardrobe with Unreal golf apparel this year, just like common. Register to win up to $1,000 in Unreal golf apparel on our contest page. One lucky winner will restock their closet with amazing golf apparel thanks to Unreal. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest to enter today.
Bradshaw and Bryan, KFAN text line, also known as the Holla Hotline, blowing up, being inundated on the controversial topic of should a player be able to remove his ball from a divot, or should he have to play it where it lies? Tenneby and our like Hatfields and McCoys. Tenneby, I think, wants to not only take it out of a divot, but he wants to tee it up in the fairway. I'm exactly the opposite. I would like to see you, not only should you have to hit out of a divot, but you should have to pound your ball deeper into the divot to extricate it. We'll get back to that a little bit later, but right now it's time for 534.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1. It's time now.
Kevin Durant way outside. Delivers!
For the latest dish on Durant.
Yeah, it's over now. The Phoenix Suns agreed to trade Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 overall pick in this week's NBA draft, and multiple second-round picks. Common, are you disappointed the Wolves couldn't acquire Durantula, and are the Rockets now title contenders?
I think the Rockets were a really good team prior to the trade, and I think, he's a prolific scorer, and he's certainly, at least, even though he's, mid to late 30s, he certainly didn't lose anything offensively last year. I think he still averaged 26 or 27 points a game. I don't know enough about the players that Phoenix received in return to know if that was a better deal than what the Wolves could have offered, because there were some discussions that it would be wasn't there
Gobert,
yeah,
DiVincenzo,
and then a couple of picks or something like
then
that.
Either Dillingham or Terrence Shannon Jr.
Yeah. So
17 overall in the mix.
Right. So I don't know which would be considered a better deal. And then I don't know if, and I've not seen any reporting on this. Remember, it appeared Durant had no interest in coming here.
Yes.
And so Phoenix, of course, they are under no obligation to trade Durant to a team that he wants to go to. I mean, I'm sure if the Wolves would never do this, but they said, "Hey, we'll give you Ant and somebody else." I'm sure they would rather have done that, right? So I don't think Phoenix said, "You know what? Really, we've got better offers from other teams." But because Durantula doesn't, or we had a better offer from Minnesota, we'll go ahead and trade him to Minnesota. It doesn't appear that was the case. So I don't know. I said this last week that it was much like the Gobert trade. I didn't think the Gobert trade would work at the time, but I said I'm willing to try anything as bad as this team has been. That's been changed. That attitude, I think, because they've not been bad the last 2 years. They've gone to the Western Conference Finals. So now you are trying to tweak a team and get them to that next stage. Whether Durantula would have been the guy or not, I don't know. There's the people that I trust, the people that understand the game, those in the basketball community will tell you while he's a wonderful offensive player, he leaves a little bit to be desired defensively. And I think the best defensive team in the NBA just won the NBA title. So I'm a defense wins championships, guys. But it would have been fun. It would have been much like, remember we talked about how much fun it would have been to have Rodgers as the Vikings court. Whether it would have worked or not is one thing, but how much drama would there be? And there, I mean, it would be a talker each and every day from now until the end of the season. And so with Durant, I think he would have provided not the same kind of controversy Rodgers would have, but still it would have been, it would have brought extra attention to this team, not just locally, but nationally. So it would have been nice, but I guess QE Sarah.
Question number 2. Panic or patience?
Twins had 18 hits, including 2 home runs from Byron Buxton and 4 hit games from both Carlos Correa and Brooks Lee, and yet they still lost to the Brewers 9-8 yesterday at Target Field. They were swept in the 3-game series. They gave up 35 runs in 27 innings, and they've lost 13 of their last 16 games. Common, is it time for
panic or patience?
Well, I don't even need to know if either word really applies. I mean,
somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, well, I guess because like if you look at the standings right now, we are not a wild card team. I heard Lavelle on with PA and he said, "Well, we're still close." Well, yeah, but they're not playing in any way, shape, or form right now that would lead you to believe they're going to stay close to a wild card. Right now, as we speak, yes, but. Did you say it's 13 of 16 we've lost?
Yes.
And it's not like, oh, we got a bad break there, bad umpire call, that ball barely got we're just getting pounded by everybody. What did you say? How many runs? There's a stat. I don't know if you had this one.
35 runs.
Yeah.
In the 27 innings of that series.
Yeah. It's, and then there's another.
They gave up 16 Friday night?
Yeah. And there's another stat that's something like in 9 of the past 16 games, they've given up like, literally hundreds of runs a game. There's
only 3 teams in the American League that have a worse record than the Twins right now.
Their pitching staff is getting beaten like a piñata. It's just awful right now, and I don't see it. Yet even Joe Ryan had a bit of a struggles. And then when you're doing this starter guy because you don't trust your pitcher, and here's what's really sad. Is Buxton is having he's having a career year right now. He's playing and
they're ruining it.
Yeah, and
mostly healthy year.
Yes, and Lewis is terrible, and Correa. I know he had 4 hits the other day, but a lot of these guys, these youngsters that were supposed to be the nucleus of our team. We were going to get the Wallners and the Larnacks and all these other guys. The Brooks Lee guy's been pretty good. You saw where he didn't run out. It was strike 3. The ball got away from the catcher, and he just stood there. And I know that's bad, but it's not like, that would have been the start of we were only down 9-0. I mean, we get them, he gets to first, and we get a single, a home run, a single, a home run, a single, home run.
They're not coming back to win, but it's the principle of it.
It's a bad, that's what I was saying. Yeah. It's a bad look. It's a bad look, but it certainly didn't cost them the game. But it's almost a microcosm of where this team is and where this franchise is. It's It's bad. It's worse than I thought it would get. I was among those that thought it was going to be a 4-team race in the AL Central, and I guess it's still a possibility. But to do that, they're going to have to do what they did earlier when they won 13 in a row. They're going to have to go on some incredible winning streak to get because the Tigers right now, I think, are
11 ahead of them.
11 ahead of them, and It's worse than I thought it was going to be, and I don't have any answers for you. That's fine.
Question number 3. It's time now to consider the course.
You mentioned earlier Keegan Bradley won the Travelers Championship yesterday. He's now moved to number 9 in the Ryder Cup standings. Of course, Bradley is the captain for the U.S. Ryder Cup team at Bethpage Black in September. So the question common is, should Keegan Bradley both captain and play for the U.S. Ryder Cup team this fall?
This is a controversial question. Golf is a controversial sport. We're at each other's throats with the divot rule. Now we've got the Keegan Bradley. Should he?
The captain controversy.
Or shouldn't he? I don't even have time to get into it.
We're about to go to break.
So let's go to break. Yeah. I want to read some of the kick it out of a divot or leave it in the divot text message. It's going to be... It's like you have the basketball and the hockey community.
Yes,
you have different
very
camps.
divided.
These are two different camps. Plus, I do want to talk about the Bradley thing, and then we've got a number of other topics that we'll touch on here on the Common Man program. Right here on the Fan. Antenna B's got a keyword.
I do. The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword bank at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is bank. Enter now at KFAN.com. Bonus Box is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and learn more, head to KFAN.com. Bonus Box is presented by BigDeck.com.
Double 13-14 past here in the Common Man program. I'm the Common Man, Dan Cole. He's 10 to B. Big Ticket, I think, is out for this week. I think in his steed will be the Tasteless Box of Mashed Potatoes JG with Brett Blakemore minding the store. There was a, you brought up in the last question in 534 about Keegan Bradley. He is the Ryder Cup captain. I think it's been since 1963, I thought I saw, in which a Ryder Cup captain has also played on the team. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, Tenney, because you're more of a Ryder Cup guy than I like Ryder Cup, and I don't get as excited as other people. This United States versus Europe and the chanting, I've always liked golf as an individual sport, particularly stroke play, more so than even match play, but it's to each his own. Some people want to kick it out of a divot, other people want to hit out of it. So there's a lot of different approaches to the game of golf. But I believe there are 10 people that qualify for the Ryder Cup with Ryder Cup points, and then there are 2 wild card selections where the captain of the wild card team, or the Ryder Cup team, gets to pick 2 players that have not qualified to fill out the 12-player roster. And I thought I heard Keegan Bradley say at one time that he...
I think it's 6 players are automatically locked onto the team based on points. And then I think 6? The captain picks the additional 6.
Oh, okay. I thought it was 10 and 2. So 6 and 6, you are paying closer attention than I am. I thought I heard Keegan Bradley say earlier that he wouldn't, if he did not automatically qualify, he would not select himself. I think there are people that think that's a bad look. I can understand when you say, you know what, I think I'm one of the 12 best players I'm in. I can understand why some people would say, well, wait a minute now. You know, you're already the captain. Why don't you let somebody play? But if you feel you are playing amongst the 12 best players, American players in leading into Ryder Cup, I don't have a problem with selecting yourself. If you get in by points, absolutely he should play. I don't think there's any, and I think he would. I mean, I don't, you know, I mean, there's this debate about well, you can't be a captain and play. It's too difficult to do. I know that as the captain of a Ryder Cup team, you've got to make decisions about who plays with who and who plays when and which form. But it's not that complicated. It's not like putting a plan together for the Battle of the Bulge, for crying out loud. It's like, hey, you and you play together, go get them, right? Is it that complicated to be the Ryder Cup captain that there's so much, it involves so much time and effort and strategy and brain power that you can't go out and actually play golf as well? I don't believe it. Do you? I think you can do both.
Well, my first thought is, I guess there might be something to, hey, it'd be great to be able to oversee everything and see how they're actually individually playing that day, right? Like if you are, and as a player, you wouldn't be able to really see how the other players are playing. With that being said, how many times have we been watching and there's a captain, he's just on one hole watching one foursome. He can't be watching everything else that's going on at the course at the exact same time.
That's exactly right. So
I'd like to think most of these groupings, at least for the first day, I mean, they're grouped ahead of time. Yeah. Second day, you might make some slight adjustments.
He's a gamer. He can play. He's been playing. He's had a terrific season this year. And I mean, I wouldn't say that wasn't like the Ryder Cup, yes, and please don't misunderstand me, but there were people in the crowd chanting because they know he's the captain, and he was going against Tommy Fleetwood, who undoubtedly will be a part of the European team. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of the USA chants like that, and Bradley never, I mean, he was, I'm not suggesting he played a flawless round of golf yesterday, but he obviously outplayed Fleetwood to the bitter end. The other story from yesterday is Russ Henley. He finished one shot behind Bradley, right? After he chipped in on the 72nd hole. He called a penalty on himself on Saturday. Nobody else saw it. The cameras didn't see it. Nobody in the crowd saw it. The caddy didn't see it. Playing competitors, only he saw it. And
Did he kick the ball out of a divot?
No, he said the ball basically moved about a dimple. But he saw it move, and he called it on himself. And you have to admire him, right? Now,
did it move from like a practice swing? Or?
I don't know. I don't know if it was after because I think they've actually changed the rule a bit. But like if you put your ball behind the club, if you put your club behind the ball and it moves like you're addressing the ball, then I think that is deemed a you have to take a stroke. And so he did, and had he not done that, he would have been in a playoff. So but that's kind of where the rules of golf are, is you have to police it yourself. Let's go back to some of the controversial text messages regarding Tenby wants the Royal and Ancient and the USGA to change their rule about divots, and he wants you to be able to remove it from a divot. This from the 651 said, I had a friend who would always manipulate his ball so that it was sitting up on the grass, especially when it was in a little depression. His reasoning was, I'm not playing anybody for money right now, and I pay good money for this round. I should be able to position it in a good spot to hit it. And I'm all for that if that's what you want to. I am talking competition more than anything.
Sure.
There's a good friend of mine that I play golf with once or twice a year, and he and his buddy do the same thing. They fluff the ball up in the rough. They move it around in the fairway. I gave him a hard time once. I said, you're not playing golf, you know. What do you mean? Well, you can't do that in golf. You can't move the ball in the rough. But if you're a chop, you know, and you're a high handicap and you're not playing for money, and it's not a
trying to keep the pace going.
Yeah, and it's not a sanctioned event, and you're just like, I mean, look, this has happened to me, and it's happened to me frequently. My game has been so bad that when the round's over, right? I've already picked up on a couple of holes, right? So at that point, I might hit a ball off the tee to see where it goes, and then just play that one because I'm shooting 126 anyways. I had a 96 at Keller. So you play the game any way you want to play it when you're when you're having a recreational game. But yeah, or you can agree to it ahead of time with your buddy. You and I could say, let's play for $2 because I wouldn't go more than that. And let's say today you can move it from a divot if you want. So if that's the rules that you agree upon, even in a competitive or money match, that's fine. But if you were playing the rules of golf the way they are and you are playing for money or a sanctioned event, you're supposed to play it out of a divot. But if everybody agrees to it, that's great. I mean, how many times do you do this? People play a breakfast ball. Hit 2 off the first tee.
Sure.
There are people that play, you can take a mulligan once at any time during your round of golf off the tee. So in other words, you might use your mulligan on the 16th tee box. You block it into the woods and say, I've got my mulligan, I'm going to use it now. That's all fine and good. That doesn't bother me if that's the way you want to play.
I've faced that dilemma with Leo and Samson. We were playing Gem Lake. The Gem Lake Hills, what do they call that? Called for the par 3 course.
There's a lot of danger at Gem Lake.
In Gem Lake, yeah. Where, they're very early on in playing golf, and Leo blocks it out to the right, just like his old man. And you get to that dilemma of, I want him to learn the rules. So that's what, like the morals of golf is really what we should be teaching more than anything, correct?
Right.
But I also don't want him to have to hit this ball out of this long rough over here under a tree. He's going to hate the sport. He's going to have the foursome behind us is going to be mad about how slow we're playing.
Correct.
So I just pick it up and I just throw it in the fairway for him. But then I don't feel like I'm teaching him, like I said, the proper morals to golf. So it's a little dilemma that you're in.
But if you explain to him that, son, that when you start getting better, this is not the way to play golf, but we have to keep it going for the people behind. Because that's what I taught my boys too. When we would play golf when they were much younger, we move along. The biggest thing you teach them is rake your traps, replace your divots if it's replaceable, and then fix your ball mark. One more controversial question for you, Tim.
Okay.
It says, if we move a golf ball out of a divot so we can be rewarded for a good shot, when we duck hook our tee shot into the trees and it bounces off back into the fairway, should we go replace the ball in the trees to be punished for a bad shot?
That one.
Something to mull over. We'll take a break. We'll come back.
But then the argument is, what if you plan to hit it off that tree and get it out of the fairway? That's how you intentionally designed the hole.
You could say that's what you did,
Yeah.
I guess, and I don't think anybody would believe you. But then again, why not? We'll pause, take a break, come back with a little Distat Lat here on the Fan.
Look to stay on their hot streak tomorrow night as they face off versus the Washington Mystics. Catch every play, every bucket, and all the action right here on KFAN at 7 p.m. or, as always, on the Link station on the free iHeartRadio app.
I'm not paying as close attention to the Lynx or the Commissioner's Cup as I once did. Did we win the Commissioner's Cup then?
We haven't played that one versus the Fever yet. I thought it's the first week of July, I believe.
Well, why did we put it off for so long? That didn't make any sense to me, but we'll be rooting for the Lynx when they play for the Commissioner's Cup. We were talking Twins.
It's July 1st, 7 p.m.
July 1st. We were talking Twins earlier and during 534, maybe even prior to that. A couple of text messages have come into the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. During 534, you said, is it panic or patience? And I said, really, neither. This text messenger says it is panic time, and the manager needs to be fired. The players are not listening to him anymore. And I'm not opposed to firing managers. I'm not opposed to firing general managers. I'm not opposed to firing interim producers. No, I really am. I'm just kidding. I just don't know. I don't know how much of it you can. How do we know they're not listening to the manager anymore? What is the manager saying that they're not listening to? I mean, you know what I'm saying, Tenneby? I don't know. What do you mean they're not listening to the manager? What can the manager say? I mean, I'm sure the manager tells them they've got their scouting reports, because you see those guys pull out that little card out of their back pocket all the time and look at where they're supposed to. You shade the hitter to the right, you shade him to the left. What does a manager say to get? Is there a win one for the Dipper kind of a speech that gets him to
Let's go out there and play Twins baseball.
Yeah, I don't. I've always felt that, and as I said, I'm not opposed to firing managers or coaches. we've said this, but it's that old cliche. Well, you can't fire the whole team. So in order to send a message to the players on the roster, oftentimes I think coaches are fired because of that. But then does that really make anybody stay? Let's say, for instance, Tennessee, Chad Abbott were let go. And I know there are some of us that would be in favor of that. But let's say he were let go. We're going to shake this up. They're not listening to him anymore. We never did listen to him. What do you mean anymore? But would that all of a sudden make us go, oh boy, fire the program director?
Change the way we do the show?
Better, it's no, I don't. So I don't know what Baldelli could do in talking. Now, you can, I don't know, is he solely responsible for putting the lineup together every day? Again, I think that can be a bit overrated too.
I think a lot of it is the computer and the
right,
GM.
Exactly. Analytics and sabermetrics. Yeah. I mean, I know one thing. I think if I read this correctly, Buxton sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? He asked, there's a different word I was looking for, but he asked to be in the leadoff spot. He wants to be the leadoff hitter. That's not where they've played him most of the time. Lobbied was the words I was looking for. He lobbied to be the leadoff hitter, and he's been doing a great job there. Did I say he has 6 home runs in the last 6 games? He has, and he's had how many leadoff home runs? He's starting a game. I think there's been 1 or 2. He's had, is it 2 or 3 multi-home run games just in the past week or so, last 6, 7, 8 games. And so, is he listening to the manager? Is that why he's playing so well? Is he the only guy listening to the manager? That's why I'm not sure firing the manager, and I'll say it, this is like the 3rd time in this long rambling dissertation. I'm not trying to lift any blame from the manager. Again, I'm one of those guys who spread it around everybody, but I don't know if that's all of a sudden, if you fire the manager, if this team is going to start playing. They need to pitch better. They need to hit in clutch situations better. They scored a run the other day. It was 9-0. Now they had 8 runs yesterday. They've been giving up. Their pitching staff has been the worst in Major League Baseball. I don't think that has anything to do with what the managers say. Now, here's another text message that came in.
Well, are you moving on from the Rocco topic, or are you staying on?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Because I have some things to add to the Rocco topic.
Oh, please do.
The text message I find to be interesting because we had just received some odds that may be of interest to us. From Bet Online. Literally was sent to us 26 minutes ago.
Okay.
Next MLB manager fired odds. Dave Martinez of the Nationals is the favorite 5-4. John Schneider of the Blue Jays is second at 4-1. Rocco Baldelli is the 3rd favorite. He is 8-1 right now. Now, maybe someone can correct me because I'm not John Bonus. I'm not Aaron Gleeman. I'm not fully into Rocco Baldelli contract situation. I believe he's in the final year of his deal. And given we have historically cheap owners, given we have historically cheap owners that are trying to sell the team, they're not adding any new money this year, right? Are they going to fire him in the middle of the year and then pay another man? Now you're paying 2 managers. They're not going to do that. So I think Rocco is safe for the rest of the year. And then if the Pohlads are still owning the team going into next year, they'll have to obviously extend Rocco or hire a new manager. But they're not going to be paying 2 managers at the same time. Those are not the Pohlads I know.
Yeah, I would think if you're right on the contract status with the manager, I think you're spot on. I think, and not only for the reasons you just stated, and very eloquently, by the way, but also because I really have never believed the Twins franchise worries about winning games. Make money first, and then, hey, we win games and make the playoffs. That's just
gravy.
That's just icing. That's gravy. That's icing on the cake. I heard someone, LaBelle Neal III, esteemed columnist, Fish Wrap Factory, West Side, a Pohlad pocket protector, power broker extraordinaire, he was on with PA. They took a call that had a similar opinion as this text message. This one says, I got a controversial Twins take.
That's interesting.
The Twins should trade Buxton. He's at his most valuable he's ever been. Try to get some good young pitching in return. This is the only time the Twins haven't had good prospects. Think of the future. Now, you would get some pushback from the Pohlad pocket protectors and maybe others that say the Twins farm system is deep and talented. I don't know. Again, prospects are prospects until they come up and play in the big leagues. And we've had a number of players that were highly regarded. And this isn't just the Twins, it's all franchises. How many highly regarded prospects end up not even panning out? I bet more don't pan out than do. So I'm never against trying to. That's, like in football, that's the way you build a team, is you build it through the draft, and then you supplement it with free agency when you feel like it's the age of Aquarius. In baseball, I think that's how you'd like to do it, is you'd like to develop your own players, and then you dabble in free agency when you feel the time is right. I wouldn't be opposed to trading Buxton either, but I just don't know. This team seems to be just adrift. They're allegedly up for sale at a price that really means they're not for sale. We talked about it last week. Forbes value them at 1.5. They want 1.7. And I still don't know. We had some debate here whether they want him to also take on that $400 million debt that's Twins have borrowed against the ownership of the team or the value of the team. But then I think someone said no. What it means is because they have a $400 debt service on the club, that's why they want 1.7. So that wouldn't go to 2.1. It would just be 1.7. But I don't know how many takers there are at 1.7. You would think there would be, but you have an organization that's trying to sell the team. They've never, that I can remember, really said, "Let's go get them." We have a good team. Let's go make a trade at the deadline or do something. They've never done that. So I wouldn't be against trading Buxton, because this year is more of an anomaly than anything, right? I mean, he's had moments. He had one. He's only had one other season where he's played over 100 games, right? Or is it two? I mean, in the 7, 8, 10 years he's been in the big leagues, he's been injured most of the time. And when he's playing like the way he has played this year, this is why you gave him $100 million. Because he is the old 5-tool player. He can run. He's as fast as anybody in the league, I think.
He's had 2 seasons over 100 games, including last year. He played 102.
Okay. And 102 still isn't a ton.
No.
You'd rather see a guy playing 140, 150, right? Especially a guy.
He had 1 season in 2017 when he played 140.
Right. But the way he's playing now is what everybody envisioned and hoped for year after year after year. He's been as good as he's ever been, as far as I can recall. He's as fast as any. He's the fastest player on the team, from what they tell me. He's one of the fastest players in baseball. He's got a great arm. He can catch. He can patrol the outfield. He can hit for power, and he can hit for average. He's a great player. There would be, I imagine, once you get near trade deadline time, especially, even now you could probably get something for him, but you get near trade deadline time, and with as many teams that qualify for postseason play now tend to be, I would believe there would be a handful of teams that would be willing to trade some highly regarded prospects, including pitching, to add Buxton's bat and his glove to their lineup, right? I mean, he would be, I think the phone would be ringing off the hook with teams that would want, if he stays as healthy as he is, if he's still healthy and hitting the ball the way he is and fielding like it is, The Twins could get I don't know about a king's ransom, but then the prospects you get, I mean, it's a crapshoot. I get it. You don't know. You could be getting the next Roger Clemens, or you could be getting the next Corey Funderburk. Is Corey Funderburk any good? Am I ripping a guy I shouldn't be ripping Corey. He's probably a nice kid.
The Cody?
Is it Cody Funderburk? Is that what it is? But you know what I'm saying? I mean, we don't.
The hesitation I have on Buxton is like his contract is actually pretty reasonable. I know it was thought of at the time as some big deal, but he's making like $15 a year.
Yeah. And
given the way the Twins operate, it's not like they're going to go whatever money you save on Byron Buxton's contract moving forward, they're now going to go spend it elsewhere. I just don't believe that. So.
Why fire Rocco when the owners handcuff him? It's not his fault. He's not allowed to go out and obtain more talent for this team. We are not a stacked team by any means. He's playing with the cheap hand that he's been given. Yeah, we our payroll is nothing to write home about. And look, every team has young players that play well on the single A, double A, and triple A level. And then you're keeping your fingers crossed. Your Larnax, who are the other young guys on our team? Wallner. Players like that, they've been really good in the minors, and they've had their moments in the big leagues. But I don't know if those guys are cornerstone players where you go, this is a guy that's going to give us some really, we're going to have a quality player that's going to provide more positive than negatives over the next 6, 8, 10 years. I don't know. And that's like every team in the league. You don't know until they play in the show, and then and not only just have moments like the Lewis character, number one prospect in all of baseball for the longest time. Took forever to get him up here. He finally gets up here, and hell, he's a ball player, man. We saw what he did in a couple of short stints, short periods of time. Yeah. I mean, he's a 5-tool kind of a guy out fielding. I don't know, maybe he's at the wrong position. And plus he wants to stay at third and didn't want to move to second, but he can't stay healthy. So and then he had 2 awful slumps too. He's on that list. We looked at that list. Twins, longest hitless streak in the history of the franchise, and he's got 2 0 for 30s, 0 for 30 pluses. I don't think there's another guy on the team that had 2 stretches like that. So is highly regarded. And look, he could get healthy, and he could go on to have a long and illustrious career as a Minnesota Twin, or I guess maybe eventually elsewhere. But from what we've seen right now, it's been underwhelming. Even though he's had moments, if he can't stay healthy, what's the use of having him on the team? That's why this one says it's time for the Twins to be sellers at the trade deadline. Correa, Buxton, Royce Lewis. I don't think anybody would trade for Correa, and I don't think anybody would. Well, maybe someone would trade for Royce Lewis. But when he's injured, no one's going to trade for him. Who would trade for Royce Lewis right now? I don't think, unless there's some, far thinking the right word? I'm like, somebody that's thinking into the future. You have a general manager and ownership that goes, sure, he's hurt now, but man, if
he'd almost be someone you're sending. Yeah, you're trading him to not a contender. You're trading to a team that, hey, let's try to get this guy on the cheap and see if we can revitalize his career.
Exactly. So I think Buxton would be a great trade chip, but as you point out, now we're starting to get something out of him, and he's a $100 million contract for, like you say, he's making $15 million. That's in baseball. That's for the production he is giving us right now, and for what he's being paid. I got to think he's one of the best bargains in baseball, is he not?
But if you think he's going to be fragile and brittle again moving forward, then I could see, let's try to get whatever we can for him. If you just don't have confidence in that. I mean, like, Buxton's had many injuries over the year. The Royce Lewis one's more concerning to me.
Yep.
Just because it's 3-4 times of just flat out running bases, you're getting hurt. That isn't like a, man, you were unlucky kind of a thing. That's all of our bodies are made differently, and some of them just might be more injury prone, and I have to believe that one's more injury prone.
Could he?
Because you're just getting hurt running.
Could he just start walking really fast toward first base when he gets a hit?
Just pull a Brooks Lee. Strike out, don't run.
Maybe he could just start walking really fast toward first base. Now,
Speed walk?
Yeah, just speed walk maybe would be it. Yeah, I'm saying maybe you could just DH, but you still got to run. Yeah, it's disappointing, and
I would say if anyone can take on Correa, that's the one you try to sell. But
agreed.
But to your point, given his production this year, given his injury history, but that's the contract I want to shed.
Yeah, and I don't know what you could get for him either. You'd probably get a couple of prospects, but are they those?
You never know with some of these organizations that they don't care about how much their payroll is.
Right. Yeah, if the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Mets or the Padres or a team that hasn't been afraid to spend money thinks, well, Correa on our team he's the missing piece. He'll start hitting again. He's got a proven track record. Yeah, he's been slumping this year, but he's shown signs of coming out of it. And
even a couple of years ago, he had a bad regular season. The second they got in the playoffs, he was, best player on the team.
So one of those teams could look at him and say, this guy could be that last piece that really elevates us and gives us a guy he's a gamer. He's a good clutch player when he's healthy. So, they're so far removed from that. It's been as odd a season for this franchise as they've ever had. They started out the season, they were awful. Then they won 13 games in a row and vaulted themselves back into contention. And now they've gone, did you say it's 13 of 16 they've lost? Is that what that number is?
Yes.
I mean, they're Colorado Rockies like right now. That's how bad it is. And I have no reason to believe, and you could say, well, they won 13 in a row, so they've got it in. I mean, I guess, but the bad baseball has been more frequent than the good baseball. That 13-game winning streak, I shouldn't say sticks out like a sore thumb, because usually a sore thumb is a bad thing, but it does. It sticks out like a sore thumb. Otherwise, what they had up until that 13-game winning streak and since then has been, I think, really what this team is like. And the pitching staff, it's strange, but since Pablo left, the whole pitching staff has gone in the tank.
Yes.
We knew when we lost him, it was going to be hard for this team to continue to stay in the wild card race without Pablo every fifth or sixth day, however often it is he pitches, because he was giving you. He might not give you that quality 6-inning start every time, but more times than not, he was going to give you a chance to be in the ball game. And without him there, and then, I mean, every other guy in the starting staff, I saw the numbers in the Fish Wrap Factory West. It was either yesterday or today. And their starting staff has been mediocre at best ever since Pablo left the lineup. Let me see if this was the piece I saw where it had the numbers for the Twins. Here it is. Ober's falling apart. This is Suhan writing it. Ober had an 8.31 ERA this month. Joe Ryan's June ERA is 4.43. That's not Joe Ryan-like. Chris Paddock's is 5.87. David Festas is 10.00, and Simeon Woods Richardson is 5.17. No! When Simeon Woods Richardson is basically your ace, you're in trouble, right? So It's not good. And
hard to win with those numbers.
You are correct. We'll take a break.
If you can pitch and play defense, you give yourself a chance to win the baseball game.
And if Liriano's got it, you're okay. If he doesn't, then get the women and children out of the first 5 rows. We'll in left field. We'll pause and return. Another hour to go. Common Man program on the Fan.